Happy Wednesday, everyone. Welcome to Beyond the Adventure. Since Adventure Wednesday is on its mid-season break, for today's episode, we're jumping all the way back to the second season of Adventure Wednesday, where I take you guys to the Big E. Let's get started. So, opening this episode up here, I wanted to show you guys a shot of a bumblebee that was on the rim of my shipyard pumpkin ale at the time we were actually waiting in line to join the parade. Now, I've taken you guys to the Big E a couple of times before. I will throw the links up above and down below in the description as well if you want to check it out. But anyways, this is the first time that I brought you guys to the Big E. Now, the Big E is this massive fair that goes on every single year in September, usually lasts till right around the beginning of October, and it combines all the New England states, Vermont, Massachusetts, New Hampshire, Rhode Island, Connecticut, all those states that are located in the Northeast, and they get together and they showcase their best things. They all have a separate state building where they have different food for sale, and they have, you know, farm animals there, and arts and crafts and vendors that come from all over the country. It's a very cool event, and I would highly recommend checking it out if you are ever in this area around, you know, the end of September there. It usually starts like sometime around September 14th. Anyways, I was just explaining to you guys that I was going to be marching in a parade that day. We participate in this parade every single day for the town that I live in. Has its own day. Each town around the area has its own special day at the Big E. And since I'm from Holyoke, we decided to participate in the Holyoke parade for the Irish organization that I belong to. So I couldn't carry the big camera and the tripod in there. Anyways, I had used I think it was the iPhone 6 or iPhone 7 at the time. Now, the original air date of this episode was September 21st, 2016, so an awful long time ago. Well, not that long ago, just about 2 years. Anyways, here is us just driving through the parking lot right now. Now, you will see how well mannered or well organized the parking is at this event. I would recommend checking out this episode right up here now if you want to see some crazy traffic jam scenario, traffic jam situation that went on this past year when we went down there. So anyways, every time that we arrive down here, we have to park in this one separate parking lot and then walk around the whole back perimeter of the Big E where the river and where the dike is or the levee is, and then we go into one of these side entrances and we have to meet up and everything, and then we march in the parade, which usually takes about a half an hour to an hour to complete, and then we're free to go around and do whatever we want. So there are the famous Big E cream puffs. Those are absolutely delicious. I don't get them every year. I think we probably get them like every 3 or 4 years just because they're so filling. They're also like $2.50 a piece or something like that. I know you get like half a dozen for around $20. They're very expensive, but they are pretty tasty. So here is us just walking down one of the many different avenues they have set up. They have an avenue of states, which is where all these state houses and state buildings are located. And then they have all these separate branches off where there are food and there are vendors. You can actually see behind me in the distance there. There is a vendor that sells like leather stuff like chaps and hats and whips and wallets and belts and all things leather, purses. There is the free concert stage right there a couple of times on the weekends, and once a day during the week. They typically have somebody performing up there that you can go and attend to for free. They also have a separate stage in the back that has like notable people performing, such as the Beach Boys performed this past year. They've had DJ Paris Hilton there, Pauly D, or the guy from the Jersey Shore. They had Willie Nelson was there one year, I remember. Shania Twain was there. Reba McIntosh, or the country singer. I just remember a bunch of people have been there before. Anyways, this is us waiting in line. That bag of popcorn right there that is almost the size of Amanda's entire leg is only like $5.50. It's kettle corn. It's absolutely delicious, and every single year we have to go and get it. So here is us just walking down one of the many different streets that are in the Big E that has food and everything, and you name it, there is whatever you want to eat there, and they have a bunch of different meals and stuff that are new every single year. So like this past year, they had they were tater tots and they had chicken pot pie filling on top of them. They were pretty good. I'm not the biggest fan of chicken pot pie, but I had these and they were very tasty. And they also have different things, like they had it was called the Crazy Burger. This was probably like 7 or 8 years ago, and it was a donut with a burger on it, and then that became a craze absolutely everywhere. Here are the state buildings I was talking about. There's the Connecticut building, the New Hampshire building. The Connecticut building used to have a massive Lego display inside of there. There is the lobster roll. Now, give you guys a little bit of a hint, a tip of whatever you want to call it. If you go to the main building, the lobster roll is $1 more expensive than the Massachusetts building, and from what I can gather from all my years of attending the Big E, the lobster roll that is at the Massachusetts building is a little bit bigger for less money, so I'd highly recommend checking that out. Anyways, here we are inside of Storyton Village. Now, Storyton Village was actually moved from a different location. The buildings were moved from different places and brought to there. These trees right here, I thought these were very, very cool. This was the first year that they were at the Big E. They were absolutely everywhere, and then in years that followed, there were only, I'd say, a handful of them located throughout the fair. Here is just a couple of time lapses I did. I really like the next shot that's going to be coming up in a second when the sun is going down right behind the Massachusetts building that is right there. Right here, this shot right here, I've used this in a couple of seasons intros for Adventure Wednesday. I just thought the sky was absolutely amazing that night, and this was a pretty busy day, as you can tell with all the people walking around. It wasn't definitely wasn't the busiest day that I've ever seen at the Big E. Here are some goats, and there's a fluffy dog and a couple other dogs and a Pikachu pumpkin and a bunch of baby chickens, and this is all inside like the agricultural building. This was actually, if I remember correctly, the 100th year anniversary, the 100th anniversary of the Big E. That's why there's all these like old school flag or old school posters and everything everywhere. This is probably one of the main attractions of the Big E, and this is the giant slide. You pay like $1, you get a burlap sack, and then you get to slide down the slide. Anyways, when we were about to go down this slide, I noticed that there was a bunch of money scattered throughout the entire top of the slide. You'll actually see that in 1 second right here. I'm just doing a little panoramic view of the top of the Big E. You'll see that there is, not right here, this clip, you might see it, but there's money right there. There's a little piece by Amanda's leg, not a little piece, but there's a dollar bill. You can see it floating across there. And I basically asked the guy, I'm like, oh, could we have the money if we catch it? And he said, sure, if you can grab it, you can take it. So I tried to slow down, which you couldn't really do on here. So I kind of used the bottom of my fist to try to make like breaks of my hands. And I ended up slowing down. We got a couple bucks. But here is me just explaining what happened right there with the money scattered throughout the entire thing. I ripped the crap out of my hands, and I think it was only like $4 or $5 that we got at the time. There's the money once again floating around on top of the slide. But anyways, there was a person standing there. I just saw that on the screen, so I remember there was a person standing there, and I couldn't slow down, and I remember plowing into them. And I just like, I think it was one of the attendants was standing there trying to get somebody else off, and I'm trying to tell them to move, and I went right into them and knocked them over there. I was just showing I had burned like all right here on both sides of my hands. Anyways, right behind me there is a elephant that is right there, and this elephant actually, or the show that brings the elephants and the camels and stuff like that around this year, got a bunch of controversy for people saying that they were mistreating the animals, but from, oh yeah, that very strange one-eyed chicken bucket of wings. Anyways, that is the end of the episode. But like I was saying, a bunch of people started complaining this year that they were mistreating the animals, and from my entire 20-ish years of going to the Big E, I'm 28 years old. I've been there more years than I have not been there, if that makes any sense. I've never seen these animals mistreated. They always seem happy. Granted, they are in a public place, so they're probably a little nervous, but like I said, I have never seen them mistreated. The animals always seem happy, and the people always seem very knowledgeable about the animals and everything like that, and they do everything that they can to make them comfortable. Anyways, guys, that's going to do it for today's episode. Thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up, and I'll see everybody tonight for another episode of Beyond the Adventure. Peace.